Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dragoncast. I'm Jamie East, and
I'm Chris Mandle.
And this is a bonus episode. As you will know by now, if you've listened to this one, you'll know what we're doing. This is the OA bonus episodes. We are now on season 1 or part 1, episode 5. We were going to do this before Christmas, but didn't because kind of life got in the way.
Oh my God. December was crazy.
It was pretty crazy. So apologies that it's taken us so long to get round to doing this. Now, one hell of it. I know we've been. I keep saying this every time we talk about the OA, but this really felt like a turning point in the storyline. And what did you think, Chris?
I loved it. One of my favourite episodes so far.
I'm so glad you're enjoying this. You seem to be enjoying it more and more as it goes on.
The more I'm enjoying it, the more I realised how hard I found it at the start. Now I sort of I get what they're doing. I'm really invested.
Yeah.
And I really like this episode. A couple of things I loved. First of all, taking people, or in this case, Homer, out of the cell. That was just a chance to just see more of that world, to have different kinds of development. That Emory Cohen who plays Homer is just absolutely great. I think he's fucking talented, and I really enjoyed seeing him. And just what I also like about the show is they don't really keep you in the dark too long. I mean, it literally ends with OA being like, we're going to recreate the moves. That's why you're here. That's why I've brought you. And it's like, great. You're just telling us what we need to know. That's what the stakes are now. And I really like that. It's very lean storytelling. It's just very... But it's really compelling, and I thought the way that Hap, Jason Isaacs' character, kind of used Homer seducing that woman to play the audio to sort of taunt them all and try and go, you guys are unified against me. I'm gonna fuck that up. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah.
I thought Cuba looked great. I thought there was just such an exotic sort of element to it, this episode, just being out of that cell for a while.
And it was also just got me thinking, it's like, how rich is Hap? Whereabouts, how can you just, maybe this is like a thing that people in America can tell, how can you just own a plane and just decide I'm flying to Cuba with a hostage and not get stopped by anyone? Or how does that even work? Are you allowed to do that? I don't get it. I don't get how you can do that.
Seems suspicious to me. It seems very suspicious. There was also, it's funny because we were talking in the Dragoncast Game of Thrones rewatch episode about slow horses, and that has a pivotal storyline in season 2 where someone flies a very small plane. And I thought, that's the second tiny plane I've seen in a week. One more, and it is officially a trend. But something about owning a little plane I think is quite villainous, isn't it? It's just so sort of quite creepy.
You don't really need a little plane. So anyone that's got a little plane, maybe they
make such an irritable noise as well. It's just I don't like them. But I thought it was great. We're just getting a greater sense of the movements. We're seeing them performing the movements. So there's obviously some sort of sequence they have to do. And really amazing. I mean, I sort of did know that some sort of choreographed dancing was an integral part of this show. I knew that from just hearing chatter around it when it was originally out. I didn't expect it to be quite so compelling though, because it's they're performing it their whole body is convulsing into these shapes, and I'm still
it's very contemporary dance at Lambda or whatever.
Yeah, like Lambda or something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it looks like it is happening to them. It looks like something is overwhelming them. It's so intense that it's not as if they're just sort of doing this. It's very aggressive, muscular dancing, which makes it feel part of this idea that it's happening across space and time. And also just how they're discussing it, when they're, or maybe, they're just slowly trying to piece together the fact that perhaps there are a sequence of moves that somehow interlink, because they talk about, or maybe when your fingers are there, that's when it goes into your move of this, and they keep doing that. Yeah.
And sorry, Carol.
I could do reminded with each of them sees a sequence when they have their near-death experience.
That's seemingly what is happening. Yeah, as we learn at the end of the show, Scott has his moment. And we'll talk about the big thing that happened at the end there. and what it does. So yeah, they seemingly the shaman, the woman, or whatever it is, whether or not they even see the same, whether or not they have the same experience when they're with that woman, I'm not sure we know, but they come back to life with their own set of moves intrinsically embedded into
and
their
so
soul.
they know the movements. They know the
They know their
individual
own
moves.
movement. Yeah, they know their
but
own.
they're trying to figure out how they would sort of jigsaw together, essentially.
Yeah, because I think Prairie OA had hers first, and then Homer had his, and just the two of them, just as towards the end, as Scott had his moment, they kind of get the sense that they're all connected. So they realise that there's something happening. There's something they're supposed to know or supposed to do. There seems to be a purpose to them, and they then really nice. They then realise that they hold a few cards now. Because what they have over Hap is knowledge. They and you see him kind of run down. He's like, whoa, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we're exercising.
That was really exciting. Yeah,
and he's like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, we're just exercising. No, you're not. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Am I right in thinking that his research into near-death experiences isn't actually to do with their higher power? It's just that the two things have sort of they're sort of related, and I think
he's kind of amazed that something other than I think he was. Do we not learn that he was trying to record sound, or that he was trying to
record the audio of where
they go?
Where they go, yeah.
Yeah, so he just wants to know if there's life after death. If there is some kind of conscious journey to be had after someone dies. Yeah. That's what he wants to prove. It's the proof of an afterlife, really. What he wasn't expecting or bargaining for was not only is there in this universe life after death, or some kind of halfway house at least they come back with tools. They come back armed with some kind of theological knowledge,
and they're trying to do something. They're trying to I got the impression that they're trying to access that, say, like spiritual plane, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
they're trying to. If they put these together, they can access it, or if they put these together, they can cause something to happen. I can't kind of really get my head around why, but I don't think they know yet either. No,
they're just it's like being told. They've realised that there's these two very strange circumstances, and they both come back with very similar pieces of information. There's no way that there can be a fluke. The fact that they're prisoners, and I think what's interesting is that a bit of creative license on the fact that there's 5 of them there. Does that mean that there's only 5 bits of information to gather, or are they supposed to go off and find thousands of pieces of information? How do they know? How do they know when it ends? I think is quite interesting.
And also, I think what is really interesting, and it is just perfect sort of dramatic tension, is that Hap is instigating all of this, but he's not been to the place that he's subjecting them to. So there's this thing where he's achieved it, but they now, as you said earlier, they have a bit of agency over him. Yeah. Because they've been somewhere 100%. And he can't understand it. I thought it was just really sort of really intricate, really clever. Now Prairie or OA is wanting the people in the present day to come together and learn what these symbols are. So my question is, how does she explain what they are? Because you can't, unless she's recorded them, because obviously there's been security cameras. Maybe before she leaves, she's able to. Maybe they film it.
Post her escaping? You mean?
Yeah, because it just reminds me a bit of like, X Factor when they do like boot camp and they go choreographing. She's not going to be like, so we go in here.
Yeah.
Flick. It's so much more like, it's so much more hard to articulate what they're doing, that I'm just sort of fascinated in whether she has to make those 5 people have NDAs. That's where I'm sort of thinking she's going to try and kill them all.
So I don't think it's a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler. No, I would say my theory on that is the passage of time that she's actually in there. is such a long time. You know, if you've got nothing else to do all day but learn relatively short, no matter how complicated, but relatively short dance moves, you'd be able to crack it. It's like, you know, monkey typewriter kind of situation, I think. Because I think
they are trying
years,
to do Shakespeare here.
There's 7 years passes between when she first went in and when she escaped, and I think there was kind of mentioned that it's been a year or so, or maybe a bit longer than that. So there's still some way to go for them all to be kind of stuck there doing their little dances and eating their dog biscuits. Or whatever.
Yeah, it was really interesting when Homer does sort of like have sex with that woman, and you realise like giving him the outside world, and like I think Hap actually says to him like, you know, I'll wind the window down, like you can feel the breeze, you can, I know the sunlight really sort of brings him around. That actually teasing them with a bit of the outside world is like almost the cruelest thing he could do, given that they go back. And of course Homer ends up kind of like giving into this like impulse, because he's like, I don't want to like help you kidnap this woman at all, but I haven't been touched by someone. I haven't smelled something like this before. I haven't been on soft sheets. You know, it's really quite it's quite compelling. And obviously is her name Renata?
Yes.
She's like, I fucking hate you. Like, I can't believe you like seduced me and then I've woken. I mean, it is awful. It's like the worst case scenario.
It really is, and ultimately fruitless as well, because it doesn't really. What I couldn't work out was who he was trying to recruit her to be part of the thing.
Yeah.
Does that mean does that mean he's expecting someone else to die, or is it just like a plan B? Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like
was there 5 and then someone
I thought
die?
Yeah. So there was Rachel was the dead
in the
woman
bath.
in the bath, and I thought that's who Prairie replaced, unless there's still an extra space in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought there was someone else. Yeah.
Maybe it's a hexagon, and there's 6.
I did think that. I was like, this is sort of a weird situation.
Yeah.
Do you know? I also forgot that Prairie hadn't told Hap that she could see again.
Yeah, that was a big reveal, wasn't it? You don't
big
know
reveal.
Shit. Yeah, you don't even know that she's been lying to you and all that kind of stuff. That was great. I enjoyed the policeman visit. Was great. It was a real classic trope, really, where it's just like, oh my God, we're being held hostage, and you know, how can they not know? And they're screaming, and him putting the heavy metal on, and all the rest.
It's
of that.
obviously not soundproof, that basement.
No, but we did learn the thing that we learned there, that they're in a mine. So that was.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's not like dug it out. That was a pre-existing mine, which was kind of cool. And learned some kind of backstory to the sergeant whose wife is
ACLS.
Yeah, the boxed in syndrome, isn't it? Which
and he sort of skirted around, like he was kind of like talking about assisted dying.
Yeah, that was.
And I thought that was really. I mean, that must be. You know, just tying into that broader theme of like, if there's somewhere where we can go after this, that would be of great interest to that man whose wife is locked in her own body.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, it's classic trope. Like, prisoners are downstairs, desperate to get out. But you know, as we saw with Homer, like he went to the hotel desk when he escaped, and he was so conditioned to assume that he wasn't safe that he thought, oh no, you're calling Hap. But yeah, so he kind of ran away and wouldn't get the help he needed. But yeah, it's like when he sort of told him, he was like, you know, they're never going to find you. So you may as well just be more compliant. I thought, God, that's
precisely
impossible.
It was nuts. I really enjoyed it. And then there was the great, you know, the Scott moment, you know, where Scott died.
Oh my God, amazing.
And just the revelation that it was there.
They reversed his death, right?
So
the blood literally retracted.
This is how they realise that their dance moves do something.
Yes,
because they do it with such intensity and, I guess, correctness and repetitiveness that, you know, what those 2 moves on their own were there to do was for them to be able to save Scott's life, so that they could get the 3rd move from Scott. Do you know what I mean? So
I thought that if they can bring someone back from 2,
what can they do with 3?
my thing is, I think there's gonna be like a terrorist attack or something, and they're gonna like a bombing, or it's gonna be like saving like thousands of lives or something. Like amplify. Can they amplify what they did to Scott?
Who knows?
But I don't know, because it just doesn't feel like a terrorist. It doesn't feel like a plane flying into a building sort of show. But then there is an aeroplane now.
There's an aeroplane. Even me saying something, the signs are all there. Is all I'll say. It's all there. If you looked close enough, it's all been revealed.
I feel like there's some stuff in the present at the school that I'm just not. I haven't been engaging with that as much. I do find
the teacher kind of thing is a bit weird, isn't it? With the headmaster kind of watching them all have a discussion and work out why.
There's
that's
something in that, because there's something.
But I thought the cinematography of Scott lying like Christ on the floor, and
I thought that was so basically the loincloth, the collapsed legs, the arms split out, even some of the blood in the palm of his hands like a stigmata. I was like, this is like really powerful. What was the reason he didn't get gas? Is it so that he could be alive, so he could be conscious when he died?
Yeah, it was to. Well, I think they were just trying to do what Homer had been doing.
Because Homer did it, in that last episode, he'd done it for a year, right? He was constantly trying. Yeah. This sort of mental inner strength. And Scott maybe just doesn't have that, because he kind of panicked, oh no, I want the gas.
Yeah.
Also, I can't believe they wouldn't just cut his hair to get that thing on. They're he's kind of we have to put oil in your hair. I thought, just cut it off, for goodness sake.
Cut the hair off, shave it.
But he's kind of been converted now, hasn't he? He's sort of
so he's all in, which inevitably will mean that Sharon Van Etten will be in as well. Or maybe there are only 4 of them then. Yeah, there is a space, isn't there?
Yeah, I just thought someone else. I just thought a smaller character died in the cell at some point, but.
Oh God, are we having brain farts again? I don't think so.
This is the thing is, it will tell you what you need to know. That's my.
Yeah.
This show is not holding your hand so much, but it's just not being stingy with its reveals, which I think is a really I respect.
Well, I think that's part of why I think it's so not difficult at the beginning, but there's so much what is going. There's so much to reveal. That actually all of these reveals feel like big monumental kind of moments, but they're all just little pieces of this ginormous puzzle. And even the big reveal at the end of season part 1 is still, we're still on a journey, which does take one hell of a twist in part 2. But I loved it. It was great.
It's so good.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed. It felt like an expansion of the universe, and really kind of. All of a sudden supercharged the oh shit, I really want to watch this now.
So do we think Scott will have swallowed an animal in that period? Is that implied?
I think he came. I think the whole animal thing is that because Prairie swallowed a bird, and her kind of her kind of movement is kind of that kind of thing, shadow kind of animal kind of thing. So I think it's metaphorical, and I can't remember what Homer swallowed.
Wasn't it a starfish or a sea urchin or something?
Yeah, and his is I don't know what
kind of more jagged and
Yeah, so I think that's the tie-in with that, is that whatever they see or whatever they connect with in their NDE. Will form the basis of that's what gives them the moves, them ingesting this animal.
Right. I kind of wondered if there was something in they're repeating the egg hatching bird, that if it's some cyclical thing in order to control life, you're the channeling the animals life and death in the movement, and that is
possibly
possibly. I don't know.
I did send Brit Marling a message on Instagram, but she hasn't replied yet.
You'd hate it though if you did die, and you're like, okay, looking for my animal, and it's like a horse, you'd think, oh God, how am I going to swallow that?
And also, giddy up. I could just have done giddy up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just fucking you. Or if it's like a tiger, you'd think, oh, for goodness sake. I just want something
Like
little,
a
like
sandwich. Yeah.
just a worm would be fine, wouldn't it? But yeah, so I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued,
Brilliant.
as ever.
Okay, let us know, everybody. I presume if you listen to this, if you got to episode 5, then I think you're watching along with us. So let us know what you're thinking as well. Have you got any predictions? What do you think? Are you enjoying it even? Have you given up? Let us know.
What do I need to know? If you've got any non-spoilery, what do I just tell me?
Help Crystal.
Also, when do I have this homework?
Well, the homework was going to be the dance moves, but then I forgot just how complicated they were.
I thought it was going to be like, I was kept watching it being like, what? I don't understand.
No, I was going to suggest that we learnt the dance moves so that by the time we finish the OA, we could both perform the dance moves. I very quickly realised what a dreadful idea that is. Because it's
one of your less good ideas, I would say.
Not one that's going to stick, I don't think.
No. Can't wait for next week.
Me neither.
We're getting close to the end.
We are. There's only a few more to go.
3 more to go.
3 more to go, and then
6, 7,
we need to discuss whether
then part 2, and then
part 2. Yeah, perfect. Let us know what you think in the comments below, or send us an email, dragoncast@daftdoris.com, or send us a tweet at dragoncast_pod.
See you next time.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.